Horizon Journey is a space survival game by Redivided Studios and Resemblance Interactive, and we'll be blunt, it's borderline unplayable and you should avoid it at all costs. Thanks so much for watching. Stay fresh. Okay, fine. In Horizon Journey, you are a member of an exploration mission on the surface of Mars, tasked with not just finding your way around, but also keeping yourself alive. The game purports to be a mix of No Man's Sky and Valheim, with resource collection on the planet's surface, many different stats to monitor like oxygen, health, hunger, and thirst, and a rover which helps you traverse the planet. Those are all just kind of bullet points for a product page though, and we actually experienced very little of what it claims to offer because the game genuinely doesn't work. Bugs were everywhere in our playthrough, some minor, some show-stopping, and all getting in the way of shallow mechanics that just aren't engaging or entertaining to begin with. Let's start there. Mining materials from the surface is ripped directly from No Man's Sky, and crafting is both very basic and very limited. The game explains what you can do and what you need to do poorly, with a frustrating lack of clarity in its objectives that only seems to get worse as you go. The markers in your HUD are particularly cluttered and particularly distracting. Movement when you're not running is painfully, unacceptably slow, and the rover occasionally hinders exploration instead of encouraging it with its clumsy controls and mind-numbing sluggishness when moving uphill. Imagine the Mako from the original Mass Effect, but somehow much worse. It's true that an extraplanetary rover probably wouldn't dart around like a sports car, but this is a case where making something ostensibly more realistic doesn't make it more fun. Back to the bugs now. Repeated updates throughout our preview period seemingly broke things as frequently as they fixed them, with voiceover working in one version and disappearing completely in the next, for example. Other builds had us permanently stuck in third person, unable to interact with objects that worked perfectly in the past, or even unable to scroll through lists of options. No version we tried was even reasonably stable. Truthfully, it felt like the developers were scrambling to make this thing as presentable as possible before the public gets their hands on it, and it's a pretty bad look. Was this vibe coded or something? That's the impression we get. Progression blockers were both pervasive and unpredictable, in one case soft locking us completely when death resulted in respawning in a completely different base with no items, no rover, and no way to progress at all. We started from scratch multiple times per update in a good faith attempt to keep playing, but we would inevitably hit another game-breaking issue no more than a few minutes in, and there's only so many times you can run on that hamster wheel before you give up. The marketing materials lean heavily into its NASA-based environmental data and its accurate, handcrafted portion of Mars to explore. Even if that's at all true, it doesn't translate into even mildly interesting or functional gameplay. That attempt at realism extends to things like your oxygen meter continuing to drain while the game is paused, and it does attempt to build at least a bit of ambience with a decent-looking landscape and some atmospheric music, but when you're so focused on how busted everything is, none of those touches resonate or leave any kind of impression beyond abject frustration. It almost feels a little deceptive, too. Maybe it's us, but screenshots and images on its Steam page are not representative of the in-game experience at all. It's giving Aliens Colonial Marines vibes, and that's not a good thing. We don't like beating up on games like this, but sometimes it's necessary to fully convey just how poor the experience is. Early access projects like this can and often do get some leeway since, they're works in progress. But even then, you're asking people to pay money to play what you've been working on, so there's some expectation of basic operability and fun factor. And this game completely whiffs on both. Many Steam discussion threads out there for demo versions old and new express similar concerns and frustrations over a lack of quality. And honestly, it was a nice sanity check to see that it's not just us who felt this way. As it stands, the game is more or less an unplayable No Man's Sky clone, an unfinished tech demo that's not demoing any interesting tech. Even when it does work, there's essentially nothing here that other similar games aren't doing far better. Unless significant strides are made from here on out, this one is impossible to recommend to anyone. Horizon Journey is available in early access on Steam now. The developers claim that a finished version with a pretty lofty feature set will arrive in 6 to 12 months, but given the current state of things, that's pretty hard to believe. These impressions were based on pre-release access provided by the developers. Thanks so much for watching. Stay fresh, cheese bags. We'll catch you back here real soon.